All right, it's liberation time right here on the Business on Purpose podcast. Scott Beebe, the head coach right here, and we're going to walk you through. In yesterday's podcast episode, we challenged you to grow up. Some of you need to move into that adult phase and break through the ceiling of leadership. But how do you do it? So I thought back on this podcast that I'd come in and give you just a really, really simplistic way to embed training and development, which is the catalyst, which is the conduit for leadership. Now, there's a lot of elements of leadership. There's entire books and curriculums in schools that are nothing, that teach nothing but leadership. But I want to dumb it down. I want to give it some level of simplicity so it's not so daunting. The first thing before we get started is to let you know that all movements in all of human history, all together, have one thing in common: leadership. Somebody led them. It wasn't because of technical capability. It wasn't because of any one intrinsic kind of mechanical issue. It's because of leadership. The greatest movements to serve people came about because of leadership. The greatest movements to disserve people came about because of leadership. We can roll our eyes all we want at leadership, but what John Maxwell said is true. Everything rises and everything falls on leadership. And if you want to know why your culture is bad, is because your leadership that's leading the culture is bad. Please don't be offended. If you want to know why your culture is great, it's because the people leading the culture are doing a great job of embedding that greatness into the business. So how do you do it? How do you create a process for leadership? Well, the first thing I would do, honestly, is take a sheet of paper, write down every single thing, everything that you could possibly think that you want to invest into the people of your business. Well, Scott, I want to invest, onboarding so they're prepared to come in. Great, write it down. And what do the elements of that onboarding look like? Scott, I want to invest the expectations of what people should expect as they come into our team. Great, write it down. I want to invest how we should treat others. Great, write it down. I want to invest how we should deliver our products and services. Great, write it down. Every single thing that you can think. Think of it as a menu at a restaurant. You're writing a menu of everything you want to offer as a leader to your team so that they can grab it and develop the kind of culture that you want to have. Once you've got that list, here's the only other thing I want you to do. I want you to set up your weekly team meetings, and at the end of your weekly team meetings, I want you to pick one item from that list, and I simply want you to talk about it for 5 minutes. Create object lessons around it. Have fun around it. Don't think you've got to build this great curriculum. I would like for you to eventually. But just to get started, take your menu, take 5 minutes at the end of your weekly schedule, or your weekly team meeting, and talk about one of the items. And then show up and do it again next week, and show up and do it again next week, and show up and do it again next week. And then in a few months, you're going to think, wow, we're starting to see some movement here. Do you notice what I said? In a few months, not in a few days, not in a few weeks, but in a few months, you're going to start to see just an inkling of transformation. And then it's going to be gone. And then maybe in a few more months, you'll see another little degree. And then a few more months, another degree. There's a great quote in the Bible. Paul said, all of us have been transformed from one degree of glory into another degree of glory. The falsehood of spiritual transformation is that it just turns on its head and somebody goes from being Satan to Billy Graham overnight. The truthfulness of transformation, whether it be spiritual, business, life, personal, whatever, is that it happens one degree at a time. And it's really hard to feel 1 degree of transformation. It's hard to feel 1 degree of temperature. So write your menu down. Take your weekly team meeting for 5 minutes. Talk about one of those items this week, and then rinse and repeat for next week, and then rinse and repeat for next week. And you're going to have something in a few months that you'll start to look at and realize, oh my goodness, I am building culture through leadership. So I want to encourage you. I'm proud of what you're building. Keep going. Keep investing. Keep installing these simple little things so that you can be liberated from the chaos of working in your business, and so that your team can be liberated as well to do what God has put inside of them to be able to do. I'll see you next time right here on the Business on Purpose podcast.